Hi, uh, I just wanted to share some of my heartfelt reverberations or just to express my condolence to Pope Francis from Buenos Aires, Argentinian born, who really left an indelible mark on my psyche in the sense that he was very different from, could be called the Pope of the century because of his transition, departure, his very eclectic kind of approach towards world issues, world problems of whether it was an environmental issue, like he was truly the steward of the environment. And he always clamored for programs and investment of and world head leaders. He rallied around and he kept impressing upon the entire world community that it does concern all of us, the entire humanity. And since he was a man from chemistry background, he was well lettered and into a very humble beginning from a very middle class family. It's almost like hundreds of years. It's a person from other than European descent or could be nominated for this kind of. Although I can call it's like a customary ceremonial, but apparently it sounds to be ceremonial, but they have a big role to play in the advancement of peace and prosperity. And interfaith dialogues can always be leveraged to bring contentious communities to the table for negotiated paths forward. What is really remarkable about him and what struck me the most that he had audacity and he had the resilience and he has the guts to openly call for the world leaders to join hands against this atrocious genocidal Israeli moves in Palestine, and he was all out, in fact, and he really felt defeated. He felt vanquished in the face of the world community or UN, keeping a tight lip and allowing all this to happen. And the country goes unpunished and unaccountable, and there is no remorse on the part of this. The way the world order is changing, with newer threats to the peace and prosperity and the kind of equilibrium, or say, kind of uniform chord that would struck, whether it's entering to the trade pacts or deals or political, social, or cultural. So he served as a leadership role as a Jesuit provincial in Argentina, and he was Archbishop of, and he also was made the Cardinal in 2013. So, but that's not the important here to get into, his humble ascendancy to this prestigious role of being a world spiritual leader, because 1 billion plus people they actually joined the condolence, and all well 100 states they were there to witness this. Trump was unfortunately called a sleeping Joe on this occasion. He wasn't very, in fact, before the final ritual of the rice, and that's also significant in the sense that he never wanted to be buried along with the others. And he was, nominated, elected. In fact, there is an election process. It is a very democratic kind of process in choosing Pope or the papacy works with the ground rules, and he was the one who was like, he went against those norms, and he said, I'm not going to be buried along with in the same cathedral, but he chose to be buried in Maria, like this called, it's a different church we used to visit. He had lots of fascination, obsessions with that church. And his last rites were to be arranged there in an open coffin without lots of pomp and show and pageantry, and he wanted to die peacefully without extravagances, the kind of glittery that abounds. And his previous Benedict, I guess it's like 16th, he resigned, in fact, and that had never happened. In fact, that's a very rare event to have taken place. So this church full house is sometimes rocked by some kind of for ill reasons, because there was an investigation to some of the crimes committed, heinous crimes of inside. So he wanted inside to out, and he says, let's have investigations, let's have pardoning ceremony, and all those people who are involved in advancing the like corrupt practices, whether it's human, whether it's irreligious acts of. So he was all out, and he wanted an open investigation, although it was carried, and even general pardoning was granted, although it couldn't have been brought to the court of justice in the open publicly, because the church system doesn't allow for that. So he, being a Latin American, the only one from Latin America, and he was into the key teachings of how to bring about harmony among the most contentious groups of people, whether it was inside the churchdom, inside the ecclesiastia. The called out. This is a Hebrew word that means called out, and so he advocates global fraternity. He emphasized on family values, and he also emphasized on, like, he was all out for the abortion practice, which has been banned for a while, and as like gender segregations and all those. Social friendship, he emphasized upon, he was into, and he has been rightly called as he mentioned the gospel, that this church should be for the poor first and then the rich next. So he prioritized poverty, immigration. He was sympathetic to those immigrants who have been almost at the mercy of this Trump administration, and they're all out for pushing them outside. Even though he's not sparing even the small children, and there has been, they have been separated from their families, and they're left with no rights. And so it's a huge crisis where immigrants all over the world, whether they're refugees from Palestine or whether it's from Sudan or Darfur and all. So we know that immigration is a worldwide phenomenon, and it's not like restricted to one place. It's not restricted to one issue or the other. Immigration or mass migrations or victimization, these are the norms of the days these days, because any country wantonly gets into the imbroglio and pushes forward its hidden agenda of expansionism or capitalism. And there have been cases where legitimate democratically elected government have been toppled, have been attempts at seizing the power, usurping the throne, and The world body like International Court of Justice, headquartered in Hague, they are simply, it's like a white elephant and they're tight-clipped and they come up with resolution. They don't have any actual power to execute those orders, whether it's in the case of Israel, which is no doubt, I mean, it's almost beyond irrefutable that it's coming crime against humanity, is all out for genocide, all for ethnic cleansing. It was a new Trump is in hands and glove because he actually proposed Gaza Riviera, where he wanted this to be altered into a dream destination, tourist destinations. But what about the sovereignty? I mean, what about how could you simply think of or propose this bizarre and cynical idea of turning a country, which has had its own flag, own administrations of democracy, and which UN sanctions it, and UN always, and hundreds of countries that always have stood by Palestinian cause, and there have been vetoes and after vetoes. So no doubt, Pope Francis, who lived to his fullest, 88 years, he also, just to share some striking fact about him, he used to love a girl, but she wasn't allowed to marry him. So he had an unrequited love scenario where, and probably he dedicated himself his whole life towards advancing this peace initiative through. And being on the top of the ecclesiastic order, he could influence, and he could have influence. He tried his best, but ultimately, the politics don't run by ideals, and it's all about business, economy. It's all about, so he has been vocal, and there has been a backlash against his progressive tones and all, because Vatican-China relationship, then the nations were so, but he tried his best. What I admire him for, and what I'm really, reverential, I salute that guy who stood against the tide, against the time, and he broke all the frontiers, the barriers, the age-old held beliefs, and probably he was the one who could have engaged Muslim, Jewish, and other religious leaders to wrapping their heads around the issue of how to survive, because these are the three major leading religions which have always been used for probably the right reasons, the wrong reasons. So he used to travel extensively. And I used to visit marginalized communities, especially he dotes on when children, and he was all tears, and he could well up when he sees the adversities in the world, when he sees the famine, poverty, and he was also for safeguarding the indigenous rights of the people. He was a Pope of the people, as rightly said that. So, and down to earth humility, and that's what should be the hallmark of any spiritual leader. Spiritual leaders shouldn't reflect as if they are ensconced in their comfort houses and comfort zone in the inside and what's happening inside. So obviously he was all out for on doctrines of abortions and marriages, priestly celibacy, and obviously he chose to be a celibate. Although he was in love with that wonderful girl, and he was more inclusive into toward LGBTs individuals whom and emphasis on mercy. It was none of his business to pass on doctrines about how people should behave in social order, and things keep on changing, but his personal simplicity, even his attire, his resides in Vatican guest house. When he was crowned with this papacy, he chose not to use the church vehicle, which is the norm, usually it's an open top, and he chose public transport. and he used to pay for his bills for the hotel he used to live. I mean, this is really, really something so lofty, and he used to have speculations about how the world order was going to unfold without having to have the constructive dialogue among, and how the moral virtues are getting eroded. And of course, he has left some legacy of historic importance, because he was for global justice. He always stressed compassion. He was all out for social, political, even church reforms. And what we can see, I mean, from inside the electioneering process, and that's going on now. We know that this is a very age-old practice of having to choose by ballots, and it's all sealed, and in the main gate of the church, Vatican, is locked, and what happens inside is not known to the outside world. We'll get to know who's going to replace him or become the newest pope. Will be declared. I mean, the proclamation will be through either black smoke, the decision is still being made, election process is going on, or it could be white smoke. That means we have got the new pope. Now let's see. There are 4 contenders, and the prime contenders from India as well. Let's hope that one of those could come from our part of the world, Asians. And this guy was from Latin America for the first time, non-European. Now let's see whether it's tilting towards Asia or not, like the trade imbalances. So he definitely had a transformative era in the Catholic Church, and he could really blend humility, and he was the greatest advocate of. So far I have judged the other popes, and their roles and that. So, I mean, he was for the marginalized, he was for the downtrodden, he was for the slum dwellers, he was for the, doctrinal traditions, and his leadership continues to shape a global discourse on faith, ethics, and social responsibility, simply because he was a man of caliber, a man of the, inward strength. And when you are upright, and when you are not politically motivated, or you don't have own hidden agenda to advance, and you become the mouthpiece of only a handful of people world over, listening to the world heads of the government and all that, you become protege, or just a puppet. So I mean, religious leaders and spiritual leaders, I believe, I really think of them as the biggest influencer, the biggest motivators, and they can really steer ahead our world out of any crisis, be it our Palestinian conflict, be it Israel's accountability, or and bringing them to the court of justice, and so every climate change. I mean, these are world issues, and we cannot do it in isolations and without partnering with the rest of the world. So I think all these world leaders who really wrest a lot of influence among their own community, at least, and if we can have interfaith dialogues by bartering our belief systems and forging ahead with whatever we can found congenial and reconciliatory, virtuous, reconciliatory, virtuous, for the betterment of the fraternity, for the whole world. Because if we really become a multi-planetary world, what kind of earth we are going to have as a legacy? Full of strides, full of bloodbath, full of genocidal attempts, full of coup d'etat, and parties changing hands, and people of of nefarious hidden agendas. Like, I mean, we see the world governments of altering the entire course of the history, also trying to redefine the very tenets that the world has survived from, like UN Charter, Then we had all the agencies in the UN which have worked wonderfully well. I mean, it has stopped. The third world war to. I mean, despite having stockpiles of nuclear arsenals with majority, 6 countries, they're all already under the umbrella of, and they are open and we have amassed mass destructions, projectiles, and we could do. We could alter it for the safeguards of the world, or it could be self-destructive, and we can implode, not of explosive. We are imploding in the sense that our virtues, our cardinal truths and principles are getting eroded by sheer nonchalance and callousness, or not having any concern for the world, to say the least. And I'm all out for such people like this Franz Bogan, and I'm really it's utmost paying my utmost homage to the guy who left the whole world a bit saner, with lots of hopes and more to redefine. I let's hope that he has got his predecessors have been doing fine, but the incumbent Pope should carry forward where this guy and Prince has left. He has left an indelible mark. Like me, I believe that on millions of people. And millions of people, they went there, thronged the entire Vatican, open coffin without any jewelry, bedecked with jewelry, as is the custom of because that coffin has to be laid, not bare, not open. It has to be. It's quite secretive and act of. But this guy has opened up, and he's got for more of transparency, if I say. And in fact, he's letting commoners have a peep into what's happening in the world's biggest. Christianity is the largest followed religion, and Vatican happens to be the seat of Catholicism, and also I really looking forward to having more of constructive interfaith dialogues among with intervention of any such spiritual leaders world over, from any religion, and regardless of religion. We come together, have an approach towards resolving to the teething, pressing issues the world is beset with. We can definitely advance the cause of peace and prosperity, and avoid the lurking Third World War, which could be imminent, and that would be going to be self-destructive, the entire humanity. Thank you so much. Once again, I salute and I pay my reverential, deferential, heartfelt condolences to the bereaved soul who had a very illustrious career as a priest to the people, and good luck to everyone, all of you.